YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into an awesome topic, and I think that there's arguments to be made on both sides of this. Yeah, we're getting into the who should start, Robert Williams or Al Horford. Before we get into that, guys, I'm gonna ask you guys to please hit that subscribe button and like the video, and then comment down below, obviously, the topic of this video. Who do you think should start and why? I'm obviously going to get into my take for the rest of this video, but I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say in the comments. So who do you think should start? Robert Williams or Al Horford, and why? Or is there another name that you want to see start? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, guys, I want to remind you that we are partnered with the NBA store now, so make sure to use the link in the description to head over and pick up your favorite player Celtics gear, or you could personalize it, put your own name on the back. But the NBA store, the official store of all NBA teams, you can pick up either a jersey, a hat, you know, the shirts, the pullovers, amazing stuff over there. So make sure to head over, use that link in the description. We'll put it at the top of the description. And make sure to use NBA 49 to get you free shipping on all US orders over $49. That code is NBA 49. Link in the description. Go cop some Celtics gear. All right, so like I said, the topic of today's video is Robert Williams or Al Horford. Now, it's no secret as to what I think. I've already published a video going over my rotation predictions. If you haven't seen that, I'll put it up here for you guys to see. But I said Robert Williams is going to be the starting five of this team, and I truly believe that. But I kind of want to make arguments for both sides here, and then I guess ultimately give you my reasons as to why I landed on Robert Williams being the starter. And before I even get into it, I do want to make it clear that I think the Celtics will be pretty damn fine either way they go here. If it's Robert Williams, if it's Al Horford, like, I don't think that that's going to make or break the team necessarily, but I do think that the benefits sort of starting Robert Williams, I guess those benefits outweigh the benefits of starting Al Horford. And I'm going to tell you why in just a little bit. But first, I kind of want to get into, I guess, the benefits of starting Al Horford, because that isn't the side of the fence that I'm on, obviously. But I do want to sort of bring up the points that I've seen in comments or heard on the radio or heard on TV and whatnot. Because, you know, like I said, I don't think the Celtics are screwed either way, you know, either side of the coin here. If they start Robert Williams or Al Horford or both, whatever it is. But starting Al Horford, what do you get that you wouldn't get from Robert Williams? And I think the most obvious answer is probably getting that guy that's sort of been in all the moments before. He's not going to make the mistakes, knows where to be, when to be there. He can kind of be a little bit more of an anchor of a defense, not going to make those mistakes that we've seen Robert Williams make in the past. And I know Robert Williams has gotten a lot better at that, you know, if not eliminating a lot of these mistakes out of his game entirely on the defensive end and offensive end, just based on experience, just based on being around the block and the way that he plays as well. It's not as aggressive as Robert Williams is, you know, possibly going for a block and leaving a guy backslide wide open, that type of thing. I think that that's probably the big, and I put a lot into that umbrella, but that sort of veteran status, that guy that isn't really gonna, you know, make the mistakes. I think that's Al Horford's biggest sort of, hey, I got that over him, and I can fully admit that as a person that wants Robert Williams to start. I think if you are gonna narrow it down to, hey, who's gonna make more mistakes, I'd be foolish right now to say, oh yeah, Robert Williams is going to make less mistakes than Al Horford. I'm not there yet. I don't know if Robert Williams is there yet, but that isn't sort of a deal breaker for me, obviously. Next reason why you'd probably want to start Al Horford over Robert Williams is his game. He's going to be a way better pick and pop player, a way better big that can stretch the floor and open up the lanes for Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and other guys on the team. Like, that's undeniable. Al Horford can stretch the floor so much better than Robert Williams. That's another undeniable thing that Robert Williams doesn't really have yet over Al Horford. Al Horford's got that one. And I guess the last thing, and I'm hoping this isn't the case this year, but this is sort of like the big three of why I'd want to start Al Horford. Again, if you have any reasons that I'm not saying here, you think you have a big reason that I missed, I definitely could have. Make sure to let me know in the comments down below. But the biggest sort of, hey, like, you know, maybe this is more of a knock on Robert Williams than it is a pump in the air in the tires of Al Horford, but can Robert Williams play starter minutes? Al Horford's done it. He's done it recently. He's done it his entire career. Al Horford can be durable. Obviously, all players are going to have their injuries and bumps and bruises throughout the season, but if you look at this from a durability standpoint, even an older Al Horford's probably a little bit more trustworthy to be there night in and night out for you at that center position. Robert Williams, I feel like, is always injured, and I'm hoping that changes. Like, I'm truly hoping that changes, but we have nothing to base that off of yet. So I think that, you know, if you're going from a, hey, who can be the guy that we can make sure we're building this chemistry, he's going to be in the lineup every single night, I think you have to give that nod to Al Horford, just from a dependability and a durability standpoint. So those are all like comments that I'll hear out. Like, I'm not trying to say, oh my God, the Celtics will be screwed if they start Al Horford over Robert Williams. I'm not saying that. But the reasons why I think Robert Williams is going to have way more benefit to starting with this team come down to pretty simple things. Like, first and foremost, at the end of the day, or actually, you know what, screw the end of the day. In 2 years, who do you want to be the starting Celtics big man? Is it Al Horford? Probably not. It's probably Robert Williams, right? And as a guy that we're not just throwing him into the fire right now, he started starting games last year. You know, he's already had that little taste of starting basketball. So who do you want to be the future big man of this team? It's Robert Williams. Why not start him now? Why not get him on the track, rolling alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown from the first tip of the season? I think that's a huge miss if you do not start Robert Williams and he comes off the bench. The kid just earned starting minutes last year, and now you're going to come back this year and you're going to say, hey, you know what? You're coming off the bench. We got this 52-year-old that's going to start over you. I don't think Robert Williams, that's great for his development. Like, I think that he broke the sort of that threshold of, hey, I'm a starting big man last year. I think he's still a starting big man. I think he just has to prove that he's going to be there night in and night out. But in terms of potential, that's my number one reason why I'm looking for Robert Williams to be the starter for this team, because I want him to be years from now. So why not get that going now? Next is I don't think this is something Al Horford can necessarily do, and I think this is going to be a huge benefit with the team. I picture this team out there running, gunning, flying, making defensive stops and getting down the court immediately, getting to the bucket, everything like that. You know, killing the transition game, which we saw bits and pieces of last year. I don't think Al Horford can keep up at a Robert Williams level in running the court and finishing on the end of a fast break or getting an alley-oop pass or something like that. Like, I don't think Al Horford has that in him, and it's not a knock to him. That's not his game right now where he is in his career, but it is where Robert Williams can be. And I think that Robert Williams learning how to perfectly run the floor and finish off a 3-on-2 with an alley-oop on the other end could be so big for this team. Those are massive momentum changing type plays. Like, that's gonna win you basketball games more than maybe Al Horford being able to stretch the floor for you. So that's sort of, I guess that's reason number 2. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm just kind of going by the seat of my pants here, telling you guys what I truly believe, and it's all my opinion, I guess, right? And next up, I don't want to say this, but I think I'm going to say it, and I don't think it's totally true yet, but Robert Williams could be a better defender than Al Horford. Not the right place, right time, not really staying in front of his man or anything like that. Like, I think Al Horford sort of has that on him, but Robert Williams has that sort of absolute sort of explosive defensive ability, which is super rare. He can go out there and get you 5 blocks on one night and just be an absolute rim protector. And, you know, even though he's a little bit shorter than most big men, he's got a massive wingspan. It's like 7'6" or something. He's a rim protector, and I don't think Al Horford is a true rim protector. Al Horford's a little bit bigger. He can still protect the rim, but if you're talking block shots and making people, you know, drive to the hoop and fear getting blocked, I think Robert Williams has that over him, and I think that's just a massive piece that any team can benefit from, having a true rim protector. So if a player drives to the hoop at Al Horford versus at Robert Williams, I think that Robert Williams is going to alter that shot / block it way more often than Al Horford really ever would, especially at this point. And again, I want to make clear that I think Al Horford probably still has the defensive positioning and maybe mano-a-mano, you know, man defense over Robert Williams. But the minute both players leave their feet, there's something different about Robert Williams. And we saw that in the playoffs this year with that historic block game against the Nets. He's got something special about him, and having someone that can block shots, set the tone defensively, protect the rim, everything like that, that can go a long way game in and game out. And then another reason, I guess, is the playmaking ability. Now, Al Horford's an amazing playmaker, and I'm not going to say Robert Williams is a better playmaker than him, but I think that they're both right up there. Like, they're both very underratedly. Robert Williams more underratedly than Al Horford, but both very underrated playmakers from the big man position. Robert Williams showed flashes last year of like, what the hell? That guy can make that pass? And it was crazy to see. And this kid's still super young. Let's let him get better and better at that. It kind of ties back in to my first point of well, he's got to learn to play with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown a little bit more, right? I mean, obviously they've played together for years now, but in terms of being the true core and the true starting players of this team, learning how to pass to them and learning when to pass to them, that's going to be massive. Whereas Al Horford, he's probably right there at his ceiling and his floor. Like, he's a very steady playmaker and a definitely a good playmaker for a big man. Robert Williams still has that untapped playmaking potential, and we saw flashes of it last year. And I'm not saying he's going to go out there and drop double digits assists game in and game out, but I'm just saying it's a benefit to me with Robert Williams that he's just as good of a playmaker as Al Horford, because that's just like a cherry on top of the other things that I've already mentioned right now. That's what I'm thinking when someone says, hey, why should Robert Williams start over Al Horford? And I want to tie it back to what I said at the beginning of the video and multiple times during this video. If Al Horford's the starter night one, I'm not losing any sleep at night. I just feel like I would have done it differently, but I'm not in the locker room. I'm not at practice. I'm not in the summer leagues or the training camps or the preseasons or anything like that. Like, I'm not the coach. I'm not there in person. It's just what I would do, but I'm trusting Ime either way. Like, it's not going to bother me if Rob Williams is coming off the bench. I would just wish that he was starting. And I guess, you know, that last thing I want to mention again is this just totally comes down to that injury and the durability thing too. Like, I think Al Horford does have that over Robert Williams. But, you know, who knows? Maybe Robert Williams flicks a switch this year and boom, he's healthy. That could be a completely different story a couple of years from now. So that's what I'm banking on. But I just think there's so much more potential in the Robert Williams player versus Al Horford. And I kind of want to ride and gamble on that potential, fully admitting that it's a gamble and that he might make more mistakes than Al Horford. But I think the pros outweigh the cons in starting Robert Williams. And I truly believe that. But I'm not so tied to this side of the argument that I would hate on any comments saying Al Horford should start. I'm not dying on this hill. I do want to know what you guys think of that in the comments down below. Did I miss some points that maybe Robert Williams does have over Al Horford? Am I underrating parts of Al Horford's game? Who do you guys think should start? And what did I miss? And what would you add to those sort of reasons? I'm curious to read those comments. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. And as always, catch you in the next one.